When I was 12, I decided that I was a doctor. Not because I was some child prodigy or cured an impossible illness, but because I discovered on my own that I had developed an unknown pathogenic disorder. And I'm positive at least one of you in this room is suffering from the same thing. Unofficially, the name of this condition is online personality disorder. But for me to truly explain what this diagnosis means and what its symptoms are, I first need to tell you the story of how it emerged. Because it wasn't like I was born with this thing. This condition isn't genetic, yet the origins of it were really quite simple. It was the last week of 7th grade, a year of virtual school drawing to an end, and my class was throwing its annual despedida party. Confidently, I showed up to the gathering wearing black sweats and a neon beanie, but when I got there, it was full of people I didn't recognize. The kids I knew before were much taller now. Their voices had gotten deeper, some of them had gained glasses, and overall, everyone had more or less established their interests. It seemed like they really knew themselves, and I barely knew anything about who I was. Amidst all the awkwardness across the yard is where I met my best friend. We'll call her Lily. And after the party ended, Lily and I decided to stay in touch via text. So when school started up again, we would have daily video calls after school to catch up or feel like we were in the same room. Conversation flowed almost too easily, and bringing up thoughts or concerns felt effortless. We enjoyed the freedom that allowed us to bring our separate experiences to our virtual space. I knew then that Lily and I would make a great team. What I didn't know was that the night of the party, I had unintentionally introduced her to online Eunha. See, online Eunha was a sage. She was empathetic and had the answers to any worries anyone may confide her with. Frequently, people find it easier to text their problems rather than verbalize them. And this afforded her with the time to contemplate her responses before providing them with accurate advice. Though online Eunha rarely posted, social media became her vessel of communication. She was bolder, humorous, and much less secretive. At some point, though, things began to change. Perhaps it stemmed from the rising addiction to social media or the isolation brought on by the pandemic, but online Eunha began to peel away her layers of social conventions and became increasingly accustomed to the digital existence. Endless hours of social media apps, meaningless hours spent on these digital platforms dawned on her. A lingering voice in the back of her head admonished her for putting too much thought into shaping her digital identity. Whether she was typing out a response to a friend's post, using words she wouldn't typically use in casual face-to-face conversations, or putting up a carefully calculated facade. This was symptom 1, a feeling of having a discrete persona online. Now, to some of you in the audience, having an online persona may have felt like a choice. You may not be as immersed into your screens as some of my peers may be. However, we're all bound to some form of digital identity. It may just be a Facebook account where you share pictures of your family and dog, or a LinkedIn profile where you display your long list of qualifications. Regardless, it's almost impossible to live without one. As our use of technology increased, we naturally transitioned into projecting ourselves in the cyber realm. Time then passed, and both fortunately and unfortunately, the pandemic was no longer a threat to offline gatherings. So the school announced that we'd be coming back on campus. And let me tell you, after being stuck home alone rather comfortably for the past 2 years, re-experiencing that offline interaction and physical intimacy felt, well, intimidating. When I came back to school, I didn't know how to interact. The rather abrupt and unprepared reintroduction to the real world made me realize the awkwardness brought on by the barrier I had built between myself and the world around me. I'd felt so comfortable building friendships through text that I didn't know how to act in person. The space I thought we shared kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger until we eventually stood on opposite sides of the room. Lily met a stranger that day, and her name was in-person Eunha. For as long as I can remember, in-person Eunha has always been a T. And for those of you who don't know what that means, it's a personality trait that stands for thinking in the Myers-Briggs type indicator. It's also another way of saying rational, direct, fact-focusing, or the type of person that you would ask them to show you a dramatic haircut as a response to the text, I just got a haircut because I'm feeling down, instead of asking you why you were feeling down in the first place. In-person Eunha was always straightforward. She was outgoing, yet never necessarily shared any details of what she was thinking or feeling. She would often deflect, avoiding conversations or topics that would force her to open up about her emotions. She would listen, but never really know what to say. She was careful, but that eventually created distance among her offline and online representations. This was symptom 2, a growing sense of loneliness. Initially, my subconscious self repetitively reminded me that my alleged pretentiousness was driving me away from my real-life connections. In spite of that, even through text and face-to-face conversations, I slowly felt the distance fade away. I soon came to realize that our previous knowledge of each other, the messages, the videos, and even the stickers we sent actually built our relationship stronger and faster over time. We learned how to relate to each other in the same physical space. I learned to appreciate the little things, the details, the behavioral aspects of our friendship, like how Lily always complimented people, or how she always comforted me with the warmest hugs. My online friendships had an immeasurable value that actually rivaled the rest of my relationships. The only thing that varied in this equation was the way I presented myself to them. This revelation made me want to do a deep dive on personality projections, both online and offline. According to author Ctrl Smith, a research expert with more than 20 years of experience specializing in cyber psychology and social cognitive psychology, the online self is an extension of ourselves, or a method by which we explore different aspects of our identity. We can use technology as a tool to shape the way we project ourselves to the world. For me, the internet was like a ballroom of freedom, one in which I could dance to the songs of self-expression and voice opinions true to my heart. Yet over time, I had to learn that social media and the cyber realm were not much different from this world. It's a society constructed upon individuals like you and me, setting rules and social constructs. I had to learn the long way that for me to forge genuine relationships, I had to bring aspects of myself from both worlds to the table. I actually gained a lot of confidence, became a more analytical, affectionate, and understanding person as a result of sharing parts of myself that I once only projected to one of my two worlds. And you'd be surprised. This experience wasn't only unique to myself, but so many others were able to find the same results. In fact, in October 2020, researchers Erica R. Bailey and many more conducted a survey analyzing 10,560 social media users. And they reported that those who were being more authentic online actually experienced greater life satisfaction. When we think of our behavior on the internet, oftentimes we imagine examples of fake identities or dirty footprints left on the web. The freedom that allowed me to navigate a more articulate side of myself may have been a tool for others to express their anger or hatred. Regardless of what one's identity is in any given world, whether it be online or offline, it ultimately becomes part of who we are. So for those of you struggling with self-expression, live to explore all the parts of your identity that are worthy of crafting into proud reflections you share with the world. And for those of you who would like to move on from reckless text, begin with Ctrl Z. Undo all the habits you've indulged in, become fluent in social media literacy by adhering to the values you've committed to in this world, in the virtual world. This is how my symptoms came to an end. However, I do have to confess something here. The best part about having online personality disorder is that it's not even real. But if it were real, the only true cure to this condition would be courage. It takes courage to take the step towards integrity. Let online Eunha and in-person Eunha teach each other the valuable assets they each possess. I know it's scary, unveiling a part of ourselves that we may have hidden or conditioned to disappear, yet without them, I would have never found my best friend, or discovered aspects of myself that I now find truly incredible. Have the courage. Because by cultivating an honest persona, you may unlock a world of untold potential for genuine relationships and self-enrichment that surpass the confines of the digital realm. Thank you.